And I was reading to you a letter that I think gives a lot of insight as to where Colin is at on this issue and why he has become so active. I'm going to give you the last little bit from that, and then I'm going to introduce you to him. At the end of that letter, Colin says, "The Lord has given me the wisdom to know the difference between the things that I can change and the things that I cannot. Anything that is morally and ethically wrong must be exposed. This is our duty for the sake of the well-being of our fellow man." I wholeheartedly agree with you, Colin, and we're going to find out why that is probably not the easiest or most comfortable thing to do. But right now, I want to introduce you to Colin Henderson. He is a very successful small business owner in Oklahoma, good friend of mine. Colin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, and thank you for having me on your show.
You are very welcome. We had you on a couple of years ago in 2010, and very cautiously laid out your concerns. And I will say since 2010, many of those concerns have been almost prophetic.
Yes.
Some of your worst fears have been realized. I want you, before we start going into, there's a lot of details that I think the people of Oklahoma and anywhere need to be aware of. But before we go into that, I want to ask you what you've been going through recently, what your life has been like as a result of all this upheaval on a personal level, because you have talked to these families that have suffered losses.
Okay. It's been very, very hard over these last few months, talking with the families and getting very close with them and counseling them and the best that I can. And I can just say when Stacy passed away last Thursday, I went up over the weekend. I went up to Tulsa to visit with the family, and I had already been in contact with the family.
Stacy Murphy, the 20-year-old that died most recently.
I attended the services Monday in Owasso, and I went in and during the viewing of Stacy's body, I went in and I went in and said a prayer and apologized that the state didn't save her life, and I couldn't. And it really does break my heart. After that, I'm sorry for breaking up on here a little bit. After the services, which the services were very wonderful, the service was a dual message. There were so many young people there at the service that the message that went out was, celebrating Stacy's life, and then also, anybody out there that has addiction problems or substance abuse problems, please reach out for help. We have pastors here. We have ministers. You can get help. We're not going to send you to Narconon, though.
Colin, like I said, some of your worst fears have been realized. And I know that you have developed a relationship with, I believe, every one of these families that has lost. And you probably cannot talk about the details. I know that Narconon is being investigated. But let's talk about some of the concerns that you brought to me. When I first met Colin, the first conversation I had with you, you told me what happened to you at Narconon. Mm-hmm. And I want you to go over a little bit about what you experienced and what your concerns were, because you had a very strong sense of foreboding. It was a bad experience for you.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was a horrible experience. I was there to get help for my addiction, not be brainwashed into the cult of Scientology. And
did you know that it was Scientology based at the time?
I knew whenever I was doing my research, I knew that on the brochures and everything and on the website, I noticed the L. Ron Hubbard connection. So I, did a little bit of research. I didn't know much about Scientology at the time, but I did know, that L. Ron Hubbard was the founder of Scientology. So whenever I was talking with the recruiter, John Schaefer, I was asking those questions to him before I took myself there. And one of the most important questions that I asked was, I have to be absolutely certain without a shadow of a doubt that there's no practices or teachings of Scientology going on in this program.
Because you're already a Christian. You didn't want to be indoctrinated.
That's right.
Okay.
And the answer that I got was just... hell no, bro. We're a secular organization. It's all good, and it's a hook.
He said that it was a secular organization, which means non-religious.
Yes, and that is their favorite word inside the Narconon facility.
And that's
all
not
Narconons.
True.
That's right.
Provably not true.
provably not true.
Right.
So
and
the
so
word,
there's
so secular is you're saying that they use secular as a key phrase.
Yes, as a key phrase.
All right.
As a key phrase.
And a non-secular organization would be religious.
Yeah, it would be full out religious. And I support religious-based programs. So, you got to be upfront about.
So, Colin, in your opinion, is it possible to separate Hubbard from Scientology?
No.
Okay.
No, you cannot. The owners of the patents of L. Ron Hubbard is the Religious Technology Center out of Clearwater, Florida, which is David Miscavige himself. And those patents are being used at Narconon, at and in other organizations. Basically, the Citizens Council on Human Rights, Applied Scholastics, No Child Left Behind. There's hundreds of them that people don't know
And I can
about.
tell you everything he's saying. I've checked it out, and he's right. So this organization's making a concerted effort to be entwined with our government.
That's right.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Schools.
Yes.
And even religious organizations.
Yes.
I've seen evidence of that. Now, the other thing that you told me that stood out, there were a few things, but the other thing that really raised concern, because, so you're a Christian, you don't like Scientology.
Yep.
That's not the problem.
That's right.
The dishonesty, and then what happened with your medication that you were taking for blood pressure problems.
That's right. I have hypertension, and this was cleared with my recruiter. He actually instructed me to bring in 2 months supply of my blood pressure pills, which was Zyac, just a simple water pill, Well, when I got there, I actually, still have a lot of my paperwork that they supplied to me. And, I have a doctor's signed release from Dr. Gerald Wooten of the Jinx Home Health Team, which is the medical director of Narconon Arrowhead, and releasing me without even seeing me. Go to the sauna program without even my blood pressure medication wasn't even on my chart.
And he never even checked you out physically.
Not a full. I did. There was a mini physical, but there was never a full physical done. And whenever 10 days later into the program, when I finally just had enough and about this, hey, you're just masking your symptoms, with your blood pressure medication.
Should you have just quit taking that anyways?
Absolutely not.
Not when
you're going through withdrawal or not even.
And you have blood pressure problems?
Yeah. You're setting yourself up for a stroke.
Now tell us about these saunas, because I find this to be a little outrageous. I've read today 2 other stories of individuals that went to Narconon Arrowhead, actually before you did. And they told the same story you did about hours and hours in the sauna.
Yeah.
And so go ahead and tell us.
Well, the sauna, I never made it to the sauna. I got out of there before I went into the sauna, but I know the sauna program. They pump you full of niacin. A note on niacin is 500 milligrams is a safe dosage for a healthy adult. Now, are recovering addicts healthy?
Generally not in great shape.
Generally not. They work you up to 5,000 milligrams of niacin and other minerals and vitamins, all the way up to extreme toxic levels. And you even have to drink oil while you're in there.
And there are some alternative therapies and things that this is based on. And, that could be a problem for different individuals. For anyone that hasn't taken niacin, let me tell you what happens when you take niacin. If you didn't know what you'd taken, you would think you would probably go to the hospital.
That's real.
And this is a known reaction. It's common. It's supposed to be a good thing. I've done it. I don't particularly care for it. Your whole body flushes. I get red hives all over me. Your ears get on fire. You would think you were having some sort of reaction and would go to the hospital if you did not know that this was the effect of niacin. Your heart rate speeds up. It's a very distinctive, uncomfortable sensation.
Yes.
And I don't even know if they warn people about that. We're fixing to go to a break. When we come back, we should have David Love on the line soon, but we're going to talk about this for the rest of the show and really lay out the details of what is going on out at Narconon Arrowhead and why we're concerned about it. You're listening to Axxiom for Liberty. I'm Kay Beach. I'm here with co-host Craig Dawkins and guest Colin Henderson. And we'll be back in just a few moments to talk a little more about Narconon Arrowhead and Scientology. Stay with us. We are back. Listening to Axxiom for Liberty, KBH, Craig Dawkins. We're here talking to Colin Henderson, who's relating to us a terrible experience he had with Narconon Arrowhead in 2007. Narconon Arrowhead is a drug rehabilitation facility located in Canadian Oklahoma that is also a front organization for the Church of Scientology. And as Colin is related to us, it's used as a recruiting front for the Church of Scientology.